I'm excited to welcome Kelsey Monson to our brief video conversation today about her science and about night science and all the interesting things that she does. So, welcome, Kelsey.
Happy to be here.
I think you do something called precision immunology. That sounds exciting. Is the rest of immunology imprecise?
I mean, that's a funny way to put it. I would call myself a translational scientist. I'm really interested in taking samples from the clinic, looking as deeply and as multiomics as possible into them, and then seeing what kind of insights we can bring back to the clinic. So I do a lot of biomarker discovery. I'm interested in genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and I'm trying to identify factors that can help predict which patients will respond to immunotherapy treatments.
That's where the precision comes in, like precision medicine.
Exactly.
And you're currently a postdoctoral fellow, right? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, like being a postdoc. I think, as an American citizen, I think that is maybe a less common path for us to take after the PhD. I'm the only American citizen in my current lab, but
Wow.
I do think it's wonderful to continue on in the academic path, and to start to become an independent researcher. And that's kind of what led me to night science and to creating this night science chapter specifically for postdocs.
All right, we're going to get there in a minute, but I'm still curious. You're at Mount Sinai, right? And you're supported by a K00. What is that?
I am, yes. Yeah. So in my PhD, I was nominated by my PhD institution, NYU, and was selected for an F99 K00 fellowship. I think a lot of people are familiar with the kind of next stage of that fellowship, which is the K99R00. This is a similar mechanism just for PhD students to allow them to have funded time to finish their PhD, and then funding up to 4 years of a postdoctoral position. So, helping to kind of keep talented graduate students in the academic pipeline and hopefully setting them up for an independent career as a researcher.
And I was looking at your LinkedIn page. You've done some interesting things, even alongside your sort of maybe traditional research path. You've worked in early drug development and other things. So, where did that come from?
I was originally a pre-med student in undergrad, and I wanted to see kind of the actual patient treatment aspect of medicine. And so that landed me in the early drug development service at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, where I was working on first in human studies of new cancer drugs. And that experience actually kind of led me to that translational work that I do now, where these drug companies would come in, they would show us all this preclinical work of these exciting new drugs that they had developed. And I would get so excited every time. I'd be like, this is, of course, going to work in these patients. Look at all of this excellent preclinical data. And then you bring it to humans, and we're complicated, and there's a lot of things you can't control for in the lab. I kind of started with, okay, well, the science makes sense for these drugs. Let's figure out what makes humans different to try to figure out how we can tailor these drugs to these individual patients.
Interesting. And you mentioned you were pre med, but you have now decided to focus your career on the research side exclusively.
Just knowing myself, I think I am much better at the bench than at the bedside. I like to be able to focus on the crunching the numbers and doing all the data analysis.
Life is a journey of discovery, even about oneself. Now, I notice on your CV, the one organization you haven't mentioned yet is Columbia. So I don't know, do you have a full house of New York institutions?
I think I
Like a
have.
bingo?
I think I've collected them all at this point. I was lucky enough to get to do an executive master's program at Columbia. So I was still working full time at MSK, working on clinical research. And then one long weekend every month for 2 years, I would go up to the Columbia Medical Campus. My master's degree is in epidemiology and biostatistics. And so
Wow.
at that point, I knew I wanted to be an independent researcher. And I knew that I wanted to be able to have a really strong foundation in study design and statistical analysis. And so that's what led me to the epidemiological path that I am now able to bring that really solid foundation on the technical side of things to the more translational work that I do now.
So something tells me you like New York City.
I really do. It's the kind of place that once you fall in love with it, it's hard to leave.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. And my brother used to live there, and I used to love going and visiting him for the weekend. And then I would be happy to be returning home. So, in addition to all that amazing research and all the cool things you're doing, you're also engaged with night science. So, how did you first connect with night science?
Yeah, so Itai was actually the co-sponsor on my F99 grant. So when I
Oh,
was a PhD student at NYU, my primary mentor was a geneticist, but we had a lot of single cell analysis in the grant, and Itai is the kind of single cell guru. And so we brought him on as a co-mentor for the grant, and we kept in touch since then. Itai hosts night science events at NYU that are open to the community. I had gone when I was a student, and I had so much fun that when I became a postdoc, I brought my lab from Mount Sinai down to NYU to attend one of those events. And Itai and I started talking, and he was asking me what it was like being a postdoc and how the transition was going. And I was saying that night science in particular is especially useful at the postdoc stage. I feel like in the PhD, you're really trained in the day science side of things. You're taught how to be very precise and falsify all your hypotheses and tear things down. But at the postdoc level, that's when you start being asked to be independent, to come up with your own ideas and be that kind of independent, creative, scientific entity. And so we were thinking that postdoc night science chapter would be excellent for people at this career stage to be able to help building that more creative side.
and that led to the foundation of the New York City Postdocs Night Science chapter. Is that the right name?
No, that's perfect.
So tell me, you co-lead this with another colleague, right?
Yeah, so Itai and Dr. Tim Stearns, who is the dean at Rockefeller University in New York, they're the two kind of faculty leads, and I'm the postdoc representative.
Got it.
As well as we have a few of other postdoc students from other institutions. We have Ramon, we have Jason, a couple of other students who have, over the sessions, have become more involved.
So tell us the idea behind the chapter. What does it do?
Yeah. So I think the kind of roadmap that we use are the excellent papers that Itai and his colleague Martin Lercher have published in the Genome Biology Journal, where there are specific skills that you can practice to gain night science experience and practice. And so, guided by those papers, we will kind of take the first hour of a session to learn about a skill in night science. Maybe it's the idea of import and export between two different fields of science. Or maybe it's our most recent one was asking, what puzzle am I in? What type of puzzle is my research? What can it be categorized as? And the second hour of the session is practicing. So for example, in the import and export class, we would find someone that we had never spoken to before. We'd make eye contact across the room and say, "Hi, do you want to be my science buddy for the day?" And we will pair off and chat with each other. And odds are they're probably not going to be in your exact field of science. And so you get to be able to experience and discuss three different kind of questions that you're thinking about in your science, and they will also list three different questions they're thinking about. And then the exercise there is to try to pair off which one of my ideas can we maybe import into your ideas to see if we can make deeper connections. So for example, my night science buddy that day was interested in microbiology. I'm interested in mitochondria. And so we
Hmm.
were thinking about how we could combine microbiology and mitochondria to answer a question about T cell differentiation in cancer patients. Uh,
Sounds like a
so
lot of
it's
fun.
it is definitely a lot of fun, and it's always nice to be able to make a new connection with a scientist that you have never met before and to be able to have a little bit of structure to be able to talk about your work and your research and to practice things, but in a very non-judgmental scenario.
Cool. And you meet monthly? Is that the pattern?
That's the goal. We try to meet monthly.
So, if someone's watching this and wondering about whether they would like to start a chapter in their own home area, what would you say to them?
I would say absolutely go for it. Please do it. It's a lot of fun. You can use the papers as kind of an initial inspiration for the topics to go over and the exercises to do. reach out to other people in your communities. I do think something that anytime I've spoken to anyone about this, I think there's a very deep need for it. So I can promise you, if you're thinking about it, you're not the only person in your institution or maybe even in your lab who is thinking about the need for developing these skills.
Yeah, I mean the workshop, the Night Science workshop, gives you a chance to learn about some of these tools that you're talking about and also to practice them. But ultimately, for adults to take on new things, they have to repeatedly practice it and go back to it, right? And a community of practice of the kind that you're building with your chapter is an ideal environment in which to do that. So I just want to mention that we have a online community as part of the Night Science website, and we are supporting Kelsey and her chapter there and are very happy to build a neighborhood for any other chapters that come forward. You just have to get in touch with us, get in touch with Kelsey or with me through the community website. You can hit us a message. So, Kelsey, what's next for you? I'm curious. How long have you been postdocing? You just started, right? It's less than 2 years, right?
Yes.
Then it's unfair for me to ask you what's next, but I did it already, so it's too late.
It's true. Yeah. I think academic research is really special. And I think I would be lucky to be able to continue to do that.
Will you be taking Night Science with you to that next career stage as well?
Absolutely. I think it is incredibly useful at any career stage. And I think part of the joy in it is finding other people at your career stage so that you can commiserate and brainstorm. So while I'm really happy to have postdocs to chat about, I think at the next career stage, it would be incredible to also have peers to practice these skills with.
Lastly, I couldn't help noticing that you're wearing the world's best t-shirt. Tell us about that.
It's true, I am. I'm wearing my Night Science t-shirt. So the hypothesis is a liability, which is one of the skills that we learn and that we teach. And highly recommend getting some Night Science swag. You can get stickers, you can get t-shirts, and tell everyone about Night Science.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey. I mean, Night Science is kind of a movement, and we depend on leaders like you who come forward and have these great ideas of how to interact and bring the material alive. And we're very grateful at the Institute for your work. Thank you.
So grateful. Thank you so much.